With all that hanging over the White House, Congress delivers a $1.3 trillion budget deal tonight, chock full of spending increases and only a fraction of the money the president said he wanted for a wall. Reportedly only enough to cover 33 miles of new construction along the southern border. Is the White House going to embrace it anyway? Well, dozens of conservative Republicans are not, citing massive spending increases that include, they say, money for Planned Parenthood the GOP leaders vowed to cut, a new gun control measure, and no check on money flowing to sanctuary cities. It's all against the backdrop of what one prominent Senate Republican says is a new day in American politics. Senator Bob Corker says you, the voters, do not ask him about the issues, quote, they only want to know if you're with Trump or not. Are GOP lawmakers, as one article today suggests, afraid of locking horns with the president for fear of keeping his base away from the polls come midterms this fall? Corker adding the president's pull is, quote, more than strong. It's tribal in nature. Does Texas Republican Congressman Louie Gohmert agree? Well, he kicks us off on this Wednesday edition of Fox News at Night. Welcome, Congressman. Great to see you.
Always good to be with you. Anytime.
Okay, listen, you should be busy right now because you've got a 2,232-page spending bill to read. You're going to vote on it in a couple of days. How does that work?
Yeah, do you remember in 2010 when we were not in the majority and we kept saying, if you give us the majority, we will read the bill. We had the signs, we read the bill, we will read the bill. And by the way, I did read Obamacare before I voted against it, but this is really tragic. A massive spending bill. And the truth is, the House did our job. We passed 12 appropriations bills, we had a budget, and the Senate didn't do their job. And it doesn't appear they're ever going to until, number one, we get rid of cloture, the 60-vote requirement, and go with 51.
He's ready for it to go.
Oh, yeah. President Trump's been great on that. And then and by the way, the Constitution only requires a majority. That was a superimposition by the Senate.
The Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, does not want to get rid of that. He says there are plenty of Democrats and Republicans speaking out saying they don't want to do it.
If you'll look back before the November 2016 election, he will see that there were Democrats like Schumer that were hinting, you know, maybe it's time to get back to, you know, a majority ruling, and maybe we can't get it done if we do that kind of stuff. And it sure sounded to me like they were preparing to take the majority, get rid of cloture, and stuff it to McConnell and the Republicans. And the fact is, the Constitution requires 51 votes, just a majority. It doesn't require 60. That was the Senate's own rule. The Senate brought that goofy rule into the world, and the Senate with 51 votes can take it out, and I think they should. But the other thing, too, though, is we have got to make clear, and it didn't happen, but we've got to make clear to the Senate, look, we are not going to do another omnibus, CR, anything of that nature. You have got to pass your appropriations bills. And I know we've got a committee that's looking into a new budget process that'll work better. But until the House says to the Senate, we're not doing anything until you pass your 12 appropriations bills. We can go to conference on those. We can get it done timely.
Let me read some reaction from Democrats tonight, okay? Let's start with the Senate Democrat leader, the minority leader there, Chuck Schumer. He says every bill takes compromise, and there was plenty here. But at the end of the day, we Democrats feel very good because so many of our priorities for the middle class were included. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says this: Democrats want explicit language restricting border construction to the same see-through fencing that was already authorized under current law. The bill does not allow any increase in deportation officers or detention beds. Why are Democrats so happy about this thing? I mean,
because it's good for them. Well, they got their priorities in there, and we didn't.
But who's running the show? You guys have the White House, the House, and the Senate.
Well, from what I understand, though, we got the House, they got the Senate, we got the White House, but that's not enough. I think that's ridiculous. We need to make clear to the Democrats we are in the majority, and we'll work with you in a bipartisan way, but we're not giving away the farm like this bill appears to do.
They think it is. Well, okay, so over on the Senate side where you say they've got some work to do, Senator John Kennedy, a Republican, said this: nobody knows what's in it. Okay, we have the text now. He said this before we got the text late tonight. He says, I don't know what's in the damn thing. And I'm quoting, I have no intention of voting for this bill until I know everything that's in it. Whoever came up with this isn't qualified to run a food truck. And by the way, I think there's some fabulous food trucks around here.
There are some great food trucks, and they do a better job on their own budget than we've done with this. You know, we've got less than 36 hours. You know, it's absurd to have us voting, maybe less than 24 actually, that we're supposed to vote on a 2,200-page bill. You know, Obamacare, my copy of it is 2,500 pages, and I went through it, but sadly, I had a lot more time to go through Obamacare than we've got, you know, 24 hours to go through 2,200 pages. I mean, this is so tragic. This is such, and I know that the House did our job, but we shouldn't have allowed the Senate to drag us into this disaster for the American people. The American people spoke in 2016 November, and they made it clear, and as the great President Obama said, elections have consequences, but it appears they didn't in this case. Well, we have got to do a better job. Shannon, it's immoral for this generation to say, we can't control our spending, so we're going to put all of this $1.3 trillion in yet another spending bill for 2018. And you'll have to pay it along the way somewhere.
None of us get to run our budgets like that at home. We'll see what the voters think this fall in the 2018 midterms and whether this kind of thing factors in. Congressman, always great to have you.
It's great to have you. This is a rather dark day.
Well, you're not the only one who feels that way. We know a lot of conservative Republicans who said, no way, they're not voting for this. So we'll watch and see.
Well, we've got some amendments before the Rules tonight, the Rules Committee. Let's see if some of those rules allow our amendments so that we can actually get some good things in there.
We'll get you a Red Bull on the way out, all right? Thanks for stopping in.
I got my Dr. Pepper.
Okay.